Well, it's cold out and we got ice to fish on, so it is not too bad. We've got a nice little warm spell coming. That's going to be an interesting one to say the least. So,
are you in a fish house right now?
I am in a fish house right now. I was hoping for some bluegills to swim onto here so we could get interrupted, but so far they're not here yet.
All right. Well, again, if they do swim by, say, hold on a second, go ahead and catch one, and we'll pick up where we left off. So, how would you, for someone who's not in the area, or even for somebody who is and hasn't been on the ice lately, and I'm not asking you for lake names or anything like that, but how would you describe what's going on with the ice in general in Otter Tail County right now?
You know, this is a really different year. I'm 36. I've never seen anything like this. And I've talked to guys in their 60s and 70s, and they said they've never seen anything like this. So it's odd to be talking about ice safety in the middle of January or close to the end of January, but it's a real thing right now. The lake I'm currently on, I've seen anywhere from 7 inches to 19 inches. So the ice varies a lot. The last lake I was on was fairly consistent in that 12 to 14 range. But I know of some guys that have been out in small lakes and they're only seeing 7 to 8 inches. So you have to be very careful. I've been watching it when I'm moving houses around and just spending the day in the lake. These guys will hook up to their wheelhouse and just take off across the lake like you normally would. But I urge you guys not to do that right now. It's just too unpredictable. The ice is changing a lot and you just really have to be cautious.
And so, like, when you're on a lake for the first time, right? Like, what do you do, or what's your approach to the first maiden voyage out on that lake? How do you do that? What's your approach to ice safety that way?
First of all, you got to have a buddy with you. Buddy system's important, especially when you're out checking ice. And you got to treat it like it's late November, like it's real first ice. Take your auger or a spud bar and your chisel, whatever, and just start walking. And if you're walking out, you get out 100 yards and you got 8, 9, 10 inches, well, bring your wheeler up to there and then walk again. It's going to take you a while, give yourself a couple hours to do that, but that's the good, safe way to do it. That way you got a path and you know what you're driving on.
Well, and not to give you a shameless plug, or you could hire somebody who's already done that work, right? Like you, right. So I'm not saying you have to hire a local guide to go ice fishing, but if you give Randin a call, or if you give Cody a call, if you give someone else a call, they've done that already. So there's that, I guess.
Yep. And one thing to add to that just quickly is, we check the paths that we take. That's not necessarily where you're going to be going if you come out there. So if you call me, I'll tell you what I got for thicknesses and where I'm at and stuff, but that doesn't mean that the whole lake's that way. So you still have to use caution. And most of us don't really mark our trails, so it's not like you got a guideline to go through. So you kind of just use your head. Be careful.
For sure. As far as availability goes, are you booked solid for the rest of what might be a short winter? Do you have openings? Like if somebody wants to come and stay in an ice castle and go fishing, what's your availability like?
Yeah, weekends are pretty limited. If you see me looking over, I'm just checking my underwater camera. But weekends are pretty limited right now. I think I've maybe got a couple openings on weekends in February. But weekdays we got quite a bit, and we're still running that special $200 a night for a fish house all set up for a weekday, Sunday through Thursday. So if you're looking to get out and you don't want to deal with checking ice, you can always give us a call, or any of us guys around here. We'd be happy to help you out.
Right, and you mentioned you're in bluegill mode right now. Talk about that. Like, what made you decide to go after bluegills? What type of opportunity do people have, like where your houses are set up right now?
So we're still in that midwinter. I would call it the midwinter pattern for bluegills, where they're kind of in the basin areas. We're seeing some fish starting to come up into weeds, and maybe they never left. Just from where I found them, they might have been there. We still got green weeds. I mean, it's January 24th and we still got green weeds down there. So the weeds are still going to hold some fish. They're always going to hold some fish. But kind of seems like that 11 to about 16 foot is where I've been finding most of the bluegill stuff. There's crappies mixed in and some bass. It's a good opportunity just to get a bunch of hook sets in.
Yeah, there's a difference between fishing and catching, right? And especially if you've got youngsters with, and even for us old timers, I think maybe I'm an old timer, but sorting through a pile of bluegills it's just fun. It's entertaining. It's one after if you're on them, it can be one after another. And there's a good one. There's a small one. You had mentioned the green weeds, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the reason that's important is the weeds create oxygen, right?
Yep.
And the oxygen attracts life, whether it's microscopic, right? Like that's the food chain is happening in those green weeds. How would you describe what green weeds mean to you, I guess?
That's exactly what it is. Green weeds are just like trees. They just give off life. You got all your invertebrates and everything will come to those green weeds, and the bluegills will follow, the crappies will follow, the perch will follow, the walleyes, the pike, everything just kind of goes towards that, because that's the only thing that's giving life underneath the water right now. I mean, it's capped off. We're not getting waves. We're not pushing oxygen back into the lake. It's all coming from those weeds. So that's the lifeblood in the lake right now. There is fish and kind of the normal stuff, but those weeds, I know guys that are still catching walleyes in 7-8 foot of water and tip ups in the weeds. So weeds are going to hold life. If they're green and standing, you better be looking at them.
Good advice. Good advice. Anything else you think is important that people need to know about ice, or tactics or tips, or anything else you think is important people need to know right now?
Well, if you're looking to go walleye fishing, you can find some good walleye bites around, but you're going to be moving a lot. We're in that midwinter phase where, a good night could be 2 to 5 fish. So kind of have your expectations set if you're going to go walleye fishing. You can have great nights and you'll have slow nights, but that's kind of, if I can hit 2 to 5 fish a night right now for walleyes, I'm doing pretty good. So I like that. Then big thing again is just be careful on the ice. It's changing so much day to day. We got 30s and 40s as far as temps coming. So just really be mindful. I feel like a broken record saying that. I've been saying it all winter, but it's really true. We got just a really weird ice this year.
And to feed off of that, I was on a lake the other night and I punched, like you said, I parked all my stuff. I walked out there because I had never been out there. I drilled the first hole. I'm like, we're okay. I'm running a snowmobile and a pull behind house. And then I drove I was following other tracks. I punched another hole. I had 13 inches of ice. And then I went a little bit further, and then I punched another hole, and I had 9. So in a very short span, a very short distance, it went from 13 to 9, and then I just kind of hunkered down in that area. So travel light. If you have a wheeler or a sled or a side-by-side, that is probably preferred to larger vehicles, unless you've been able to confirm that you've got a good solid 15, 16 inches of ice underneath you. So if people want to get in touch with you, how do they reach out?
The absolute best way is just give me a call at 218-640-0158. Otherwise, you can find us on Facebook or lockjawguideservice.com.
All right. Thanks for your time, and hopefully we'll check in with you in a couple more weeks.
Thank you, guys.